Happy Mother's Day. Happy Sunday, Alter Eagle. I'm your host, Laura Craigo. So I am sitting at Vintage Coffee House. I have women coming in to speak with me today to share their stories, what Mother's Day means to them, what being a mother means to them, what their mother meant to them, or perhaps Mother's Day is a hard day for them and they just need to talk and not feel so alone. Sharing our stories is what connects us as humans, makes us feel not alone. So as you sit and listen to these stories, I want you to really take some time to think about your life, think about your stories. What do you have to share? And how are you honoring the people in your life? You know, a mother can be an aunt. It could be a teacher. It could be a sister. It can be anyone. So for future reference, as we do more stories like this, I would love to hear from you. Take some time this week, maybe sit down with a journal or a notebook and write something down. A happy memory, maybe a memory of a time that you really struggled, but you persevered. Anything is going to connect you to those around. Anything will connect you to those around you. And I believe that human connection is one of the most powerful tools that we have in this life.
Bored in Butler County? Need to know where to catch a show this weekend? What events are even happening in the area? I'm Molly Miller, one of the writers behind the Butler Eagles Weekend Entertainment section, and I'm here to banish the boredom from your cold and rainy days. Sign up and receive Miller Minutes, that's my column, and a list of Butler County-based events direct to your inbox every Thursday afternoon by visiting bit.ly/ButlerEagleWE newsletter. That's bit.ly/ButlerEagleWE newsletter. You can also find the latest events under the A&E tab at www.butlereagle.com. Click Weekend Entertainment, or pick up Thursday's print edition of the paper for the latest events. See, there's lots to do in Butler County when you read the Butler Eagles Weekend Entertainment section. Visit bit.ly/ButlerEagleWE newsletter to sign up for the weekly newsletter, so you won't be bored in Butler County again.
This episode contains conversations surrounding opioid use, overdose, depression, suicidal thoughts. Listener discretion is advised. One of the first people that I sat down with at Vintage Coffee House was Sherry Joe. I wanted to give her a really quick introduction here because I realized while I was editing that I didn't have her introduce herself. So, to get this started off with a wonderful, wonderful human being who drove from Pittsburgh to record this episode. And she only talks for about 5 minutes. So, Sherry Joe, so grateful for you. Happy Mother's Day to you. Her story it's a hard one. She lost her daughter, Sienna, to an accidental fentanyl overdose 3.5 years ago. So, we're going to start off this episode with a mother who still has a child living and has a child that's in heaven. So to Sherry, Joe, and Matt, thinking of you today and always, thank you for coming in and talking with me again. Now to our mother's memories.
Didn't know the side effect of writing Sienna's obituary would be that we could go out and hold our heads up high. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy 3.5 years later. But we can go out and we can hold our head up high. We get less questions than I think we would have with a teeny tiny little obituary. So I think being honest, one of the side effects about being so painfully, brutally honest in her obituary is that people have embraced us. And it's beyond our wildest expectations or dreams or thoughts that somehow being honest in an obituary in today's day and age embraced us to a community that we didn't know so many people were suffering. You know, they either love someone that's suffering or they are someone that's suffering. but either way, pain is pain. So either way, I'm honored that people trust us to come to us with their secrets, because most of us hide that we have a child who has mental health or substance use. And I spent many Mother's Days, questioning my motherhood, like my parenting and how I love Sienna and how Sienna loved me back, and always the yin and the yang with the mental health that she had. It's like, oh my God, what am I doing? I can't even be a good mother. But it wasn't me. It was really Sienna's substance use and her mental health that gives you a lot of questions.
A memory? Do you have a memory when Sienna was alive that you'd like to share?
Wow, I have so many. Yeah, there was one Mother's Day. She was probably about 7 or 8, and Dylan was 3 years behind her. So they were just so cute. And they went downstairs. They made me breakfast in bed, and they carried up a tray. And it was nice that the tray had a lip on it because the orange juice was all over it. And Sienna's like, "Don't worry about it, Mom. It's just an accident, and accidents happen, and it's only when you apologize for the accident." And then she expected me to apologize for the spilled orange juice because she had to carry it upstairs. It was just so classic Sienna. It's like, okay, I'm only going to take responsibility for a little bit of this. The rest is on you while you were laying in bed. So, yeah. Well, I still have Dylan. No one will ever replace Sienna. But Dylan, he's not going to be home for this Mother's Day, but he'll be home the following week. So we'll celebrate Mother's Day when he comes home. But I'm trying to stay in the positive lane that I want to enjoy what I still have. And that's my son.
I love that.
And to honor Sienna, we started Stop the Judgment Project. And, we will be honoring all mothers. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for doing this for mothers, because we come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and all kinds of stories. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Hi, Laura. My name is Amy Kennard, and I was born in Grand Island, New York, and then raised in Shakora nearby here. A longtime theater friend of Laura's and her parents, Lynette and Wilbur. I was actually Laura's one of her first, theater instructors and directors when she was in 5th grade, I believe. But today I'm here because she asked me to tell a story about my mother. So once upon a time, there was a young woman born who went on to grow up, and in high school she went to her first theater production and became involved. And then she went on to her community theater. And during the 20s, when she was growing up, it was hard times. And World War II came. And after the war, she married her own World War II hero, a POW survivor, and June McCreary became June Kennard. Through her years of raising 3 boys and myself, she went on to do a lot of theater along the way, and she got all of us involved as well. When my dad was transferred from Buffalo to the Butler area, that's when we bought the house in Shakora. And the first thing my mother did was find a local community theater to get involved with. She took my young brother John to audition for Winthrop in Musical Theater Guild's The Music Man. And the producer told her that she should audition too. Well, sure enough, John did not get cast. But Mother did. It would become the first of her over 30 years history with the Butler Little Theater, Musical Theater Guild, and any community group in the area. Daddy and Jay would build sets. John, Chris, and myself would act and also work backstage. Mother did everything. But her greatest joy was welcoming new people to the theater. Whether it was the college kids coming in looking for new friendships, or young people who had moved into the area looking for some kind of connection. Young families coming in that they needed something to do with their children that they could all do together. Mama June gave them a home away from home, one that was filled with laughter and adventure and love. Our house was always open to music rehearsals and after-show parties, summer picnics, late-night swims. As a small child, I remember one Christmas, a bunch of 20-year-olds that had no place to go for one reason or another came to our house on Christmas Eve to decorate the tree and finish decorating the house. After they were all done, my mother went around and handed out little gifts. And she said, "Never forget what it feels like to be a kid, especially at Christmas." Everyone got a toy, a slinky, a coloring book and crayons, a silly putty. I was in heaven. I had all of these adults on the floor playing with me in front of the fireplace. There was so much laughter, so much happiness. I watched as my mother would help people, and she would support people. I remember the story of the young woman backstage who was totally smitten with the handsome leading man. But she was unsure and shy and didn't know how to reach out and talk to him. So Mama June stepped in with a little nudge here and there. Those two are now been married for over 50 years, and their adult children have gone on to perform and do a lot of theater work as well. The young musician whose family wouldn't speak to him after he told them he was gay. Mama June held him in her arms while he cried it out. And then she told him, "But you always have a family here." He went on to play concert halls through Pittsburgh, New York City, Washington, D.C., and all across the U.S. So many special stories of the people that she helped, people that she encouraged, the people that she loved throughout her entire life. One of her favorite poems I'd like to read, and this is a copy that I've actually kept on my desk ever since she passed in 2001. But it sort of captures her spirit. It's called Warning by Jenny Joseph, an English poet. And many of you may have heard parts of this. "When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple with a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick down the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in the rain, my slippers in the rain, and pick the flowers in other people's gardens. And learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat, and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and a pickle for a week. You can hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now, we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set a good example for the children. We will have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple. Mother and I both have always worn purple and red all our lives. Just one last bit of advice that Mother gave me. I was very nervous about my first big date to a fancy nightclub in Pittsburgh. And she told me, when you go into a new place, stand tall and walk in as if to say, "Welcome to my party," with a bright smile, a twinkling eye, an open mind, and a full heart. Thank you, Mother. I miss you.
Okay, hello, I'm Min, and I am 16 and a junior in high school, and I want to talk today about why I appreciate my mom and how my grandma still impacts me even after her passing. So I have a lot of time to make more memories with my mom, so I can't really pick a favorite because I don't know if I have a favorite yet, but one thing we do is whenever there's something stupid, we make a weird laugh because we know it's not funny, but we want it to be funny. And where that came from is we were driving, I think to vacation or something, and we passed a street, and she didn't see it, but it was called Shaft Street, and I thought that was really funny. So I went, "Oh, Shaft Street," just like that stupid, weird laugh. And she didn't hear me say the street, but she heard the laugh, and she just started cracking up. So now anytime there's anything that's like really not funny, but like it's kind of funny, we just do that laugh, and she can't do it right. So it always sounds a little goofy, and I just like that because it's our little thing that we do. And she's definitely not perfect, but there's never a doubt in my mind that she has my best interest at heart. And that's really comforting because some people don't have that. And I think it's really cool to know that no matter what, even, when she's not, the brightest ray of sunshine, that I know she still loves me and she has, my best interest in her mind, and she just wants what's best for me no matter what. So now I want to talk about my grandma. We called her Grammy. She absolutely adored us, me and my brother. Anyone she could run into, she carried a picture of us in her wallet, and she'd show them a picture. She talked about us like we were all she talked about. She was just, enamored with us. And I didn't realize how, special that was, because that was just the norm for me. And then when I found out people don't have that, I just felt so grateful because my grandmother was amazing to us. We used to go out to our house once a month for a weekend, and she would always make us nachos and cheese before bed. And she made really good spaghetti. I don't know what she did to it, but no one can, compare to her spaghetti. For my brother and I's birthday, she always took us to Living Treasures. And on the drive there, we would stop at a Pilot gas station, and there was a Subway and McDonald's. And I remember that my brother and my uncle would go to McDonald's because they like that, but my grandma and I weren't a fan of McDonald's, so we would go over to Subway. And every time she ordered a sandwich, she made sure to say that if they put onions on it, she would die because she's deathly allergic, but she was not deathly allergic. She just really did not like onions. And then she made really good mac and cheese, just like the box of normal Kraft mac and cheese, but I don't know what she did to it, but it was so good. And I think my favorite memory with her, just because it was so close to when she died, it was about a month before she died, I think. I asked her to make mac and cheese when I was staying the night, and she was at a point where her back really hurt, and even though she was in pain, she didn't even hesitate to help me make this stupid mac and cheese. And she was very happy to help me just because she knew that it was something I wanted, and she would give anything that I wanted to me. And I just think that's so great. And it's the that's the best mac and cheese I've ever had, even though it was just Kraft out of a box. And I just love thinking about that. She was also one of the first people I came out to as queer, and she was very, very accepting of me. And for that to happen, it really just kind of helped me be who I am today. So without her support, I don't think I would be who I am today without her kindness and her, open outreach for me. And that's why I just adore my grandma, and I'm so lucky to have had fate be that she was my grandmother.
Hi, my name is Kayla. I actually own a business in downtown Butler. I just want to tell you my story about postpartum depression. So I had my daughter in 2022 of this year. And while all of this is happening, I had lost two of my siblings, one that month and one the next month after she was born. And I had to go back to work 2 weeks after. I mean, baby Ella was in the office, and I was just working and not taking time for myself, not knowing what was going on with my body. And so then in September, I had a really, really, really hard day, and I was just in Ella's bedroom, and I just went blank, and I never felt that before. I always had depression, but I've never had like an out-of-body experience. So I immediately put Ella in her crib and called my husband, which he was away for work, which he usually is all the time. So that makes it even more harder, huh? And he actually called one of my friends, and we ended up driving to Butler Memorial Hospital, where I was admitted for 3 days, all while I'm having a panic attack in there, like, who's watching my baby? So I do want to say thank you to my mom for flying up here to watch my baby and clean my house. Oh my goodness, it was the best thing ever when I got home. After the program, I was put through therapy, which the therapist told me about the Alexis Joy program. And what that is actually Alexis Joy was a woman that had postpartum depression, and she didn't have the resources that we have today, and she tragically passed away due to suicide with postpartum depression. So that program is actually at West Penn. What it is an intensive program for 3 days. You get to bring your baby, which was amazing because I have no family here. And you just talk with a bunch of women and that are going through similar experiences. And we also did some exercises to basically find ourselves and, try to learn why we are like this way or how to react to certain situations. And yeah, so I ended up graduating that program. I was in there for 3 months. And then I decided to start a mama's group because I felt like I needed the community here. So if you are interested in that, it's called Mama's Group 101 on Facebook. And we have different events. Just if you just want to hang out, grab a coffee, or just want to hang out with another mama. Also just moving my body with burn boot camp, taking care of myself so I can be better for my daughter, really, really, really helped me. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share my little story there. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Isla Lombardo, and I'm here to share a story about my mom and my grandmother, and how even today, as my brothers and I celebrate holidays, we try to manage to always be together. My mom, as a young child, the family was torn apart. The 6 children ended up in an orphanage, the later being fostered out for basically as indentured servants. It's surprisingly all the siblings remained in touch with one another. This nightmare of a story for those children began shortly after the Depression. Prior to the Depression, they had moved from an old farmhouse to a nicer house up on the hill with inside plumbing and a couple of bedrooms. When the Depression hit, the banks demanded payment of the house or they took the home. The family of 8 lost their beautiful home and was forced to live in a railroad housing. This house only had 1 bedroom, central coal stove in the kitchen, and an outhouse. My grandmother was devastated along with the other family members. One day, my grandmother asked my mom Faye and her sister Isla, who I am named after, to take lunch down to their dad's at the mines. As they came home, they were struck by a car in front of their home. Their mom came running out and the sheriff was called. The sheriff and my grandma Delilah were just smitten with one another. The sheriff and my grandmother ended up having an affair, and from what I understand, my grandfather was a drinker and an angry individual. All of this came to a head from what my mom understands and believed was that my grandmother just walked out on Christmas Eve. But as I look at it as an older adult, one doesn't always understand the dynamics between two people, and she very well may have been thrown out of the house because of the affair and because of my grandfather's drinking. They may have had a fight. My maternal grandmother came to the home to help George Fisher take care of the 6 kids. My grandfather died a few months later, so all the children ended up in an orphanage except for the older 2. That horrible Christmas Eve stayed with my mom the rest of her life, and she desperately wanted all of us as we grew up as her children to be together Christmas Eve and most holidays. We didn't have a lot of money back then, but she always made Christmas special, wrapped the gifts so pretty, and always had something in our stocking. And we always had a great meal, and we were always together. And now that my mom is gone, my 2 brothers and I still try to get together for all the holidays. We may not all be together, but there are a few of us that gather around the table. So on this Mother's Day, abide by your mother's wishes. You'll never know how much happiness you'll be giving her.
Hello, my name is Lynette Beatty. I am a mother of 3 children, Scott, Jason, and Laura, the Laura that's here with the eagle. And I have 5 grandchildren and 2 step-grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. I'm very proud of my family and my children and all the things that they've accomplished in their life. And I'm the kind of mother that I was because of the mother that I had. My mother just passed away 2 years ago at the age of 95. She was a wonderful mother. She concentrated on the life of myself and my 2 brothers. She, everything that she did around her life was about us kids. She cooked homemade meals every night, a beautiful home, and always took care of us well. She was a great baker and a great cook. But she also had a wonderful sense of humor. She could come back to you with a zinger like you wouldn't believe it if you said something to her. One of the last things my mother said to me that I thought was very funny, she was in a nursing home. We walked in and we were visiting, my husband and I, and she said, Lynette, these windows need cleaned. And I said, yes, Mother, I know that, but that's for another day. She, because she would not have put up with dirty windows or dishes in the sink or any of those things. Everything always had to be just perfect. Funny stories that I'd like to tell just real quickly about my mother is my mother-in-law had a real unusual male friend, and he was a nice man, but he was just a little unusual. And he came into our living room one day to tell Mother a story about something about, I heard you were arrested, Lois, or something, and she said to him, that's okay, Ben. I always keep enough money in my checking account to bail myself out.
There you go, folks.
And he never told the end of the joke.
Yeah, because she beat him to it.
She always had a zinger. Always had a zinger.
Always had a zinger.
Hi, and good morning. It's almost Mother's Day. My name is Terry Schultz. I am a working mom. I started as an attorney right out of law school. And as a matter of fact, when I went to law school, I had my first son. I currently have 4 children. They are 38, 36, 29, and 27. But I had my first son, and I can say that I had to learn how to be not only a working mom, but to go to law school at night and on the weekends. And I think one of the biggest challenges of being a mom was learning time management, studying, being able to be a productive member during the day, and yet coming home to see my son every night. Usually he was in bed, but I would go in and I would kiss him and I would realize, wow, this is why I'm doing all this. I kept going, and I had a stepson when I got married, and then I had 2 daughters. And I have to say again, it's always been a challenge to be a mom and time management. And especially because my oldest daughter was born with golden heart syndrome. And that means she was missing an ear and she has paralysis. And so that has been a big challenge to me to learn basically tenacity, to be a defender of hers, to be able to be there when she needed me and still be able to do a full-time job. I have to say right off the bat that I love my children. It is the best thing that I've ever done in my life, despite having accolades at work or having accolades in my personal life. Being a mom is the best thing that I have ever done. My children know how much I love them. A lot of them are a lot like me these days. They certainly, my youngest daughter is not married yet, but is just a great human being. And my daughter with the disabilities now has given me 3 grandchildren, and I couldn't be happier. So I would just say that the biggest challenge I face right now is where I fit into their lives. You know, when you're a young mom, you're always there, you're caring for them. Then they grow up, they get on their own. And when you get older and they fly the coop, basically you have to learn where you fit into their lives. So right now, that's my biggest challenge. I just want to say that, again, if you're a mom and you're trying to find your way, certainly reach out to other moms. That's really important. And also, I would say, try to find a balance. You also need to find a little time for yourself, because that will make you a good mom. So happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Hi there, good morning. My name is Denise Lavinetz. I'm here to talk about motherhood and what it means to me. And I wrote a 5-page synopsis and was told that it was way too much. So I'm going to single in and just say to you that motherhood to me is hope. I come from brokenness in our family. It's a generational situation that has occurred through many, many years. Alcoholism, drug addiction, mental health issues are predominant in our family. They have caused a lot of singleness, damage, and abandonment. And in our family, I have 6 children. So 20 years ago, coming out of Gateway Rehab, I was asked a question. It was probably the deepest question ever asked in my life. Denise, how do you envision your future from here after spending 6 years in the dark night of your soul? And my answer was, I want to reunify with each and every one of my children. And I have 6 children, and they're beautiful. And I knew that I couldn't handle it all at once. So one at a time was a good thing for me. And only by the grace of God am I here today to tell you that I've been able to do that. I have 4 beautiful children that I see on an everyday basis. They're all adult children, and they're all having children of their own, which makes me a grandmother. And that is a very special place to be for me, to pick up on a lot of lost years that I had with my children. So I tell you all out there, as parents who struggle in these areas, you don't give up hope. It's the hope that got me to where I am today with my family. And we are a family. I have 2 children that I do not see, but I have reunified with. And that is a blessing. And maybe someday they'll become a part of the 4. And we will have all of the 6 at one time. But just for today, we have each other, we have recovery, and we have hope. I feel very relieved. I feel very blessed to be here today. It was a choice. Mm-hmm. I had a choice today to answer to something in a newspaper that was random, and it had to be about a mother. And I am a mother, and I chose to speak about an issue about motherhood that is so silent. It is so silent and painful sometimes because of people who suffer and they don't know what to do with that. And I just wanted to give them hope. I wanted them to understand that life has so much to offer if we just believe. We have to believe. Believe in ourselves, believe in our recovery, believe in our journey and our mental health. It's okay to be unique and wonderfully and created made. You know, that's who we are. We're creatively made. And we're not just addicts. We're not alcoholics. We're not labels. We are human beings, and we have a life that has been given to us. And our children are a very big part of that. And that makes me happy.
Well, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. And happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I actually had a mother who was a mother.
You had a mother that was a mother. So who am I speaking with right now?
This is Dennis Casey.
Dennis Casey. Welcome. I just put him on the spot. So yeah, what would you like to say?
Well, I'll talk about my mother. My mother was head nurse of labor and delivery at Butler Hospital for many, many years before my folks moved back to St. Louis. So I think there's a lot of folks, a lot of mothers that might remember my mother as helping them out in the delivery room.
Very important and crucial time that you need help.
Yeah, well, you know, she was a saint. When we would walk around Butler or go to the grocery store or Penny's or whatever, it wouldn't be the least bit unusual for some woman to come running over and grab my mom and tell her how much she helped her and what she meant to her. And that was pretty cool when you're, 12-year-old and
yeah,
you realize how neat your mom is. Your mom is always special to you, but then you realize how special she was to everybody else.
Real life Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. Shirley Casey and her partner in crime up there was Mary Foley, and the two of them helped hundreds, if not thousands, of ladies around Butler have their own children. So,
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
And then your daughters have children?
My daughters, I have 2 daughters. I have twin daughters, Megan and Meredith, and they have children. We have. I like to say we have 6.5 grandchildren because we have 6 grandchildren directly from our children, and then we have a stepson, a step grandchild.
Okay.
And he loves it when I call him half.
He does.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't think just like any grandfather who's.
Would that be a pint? Would he be a pint?
Yeah, he's a half pint. No, he's a great kid. We love him, but I have 5 granddaughters and a grandson.
Wow.
And then my step-grandson. So
surrounded by
cool.
women.
That's pretty cool. I got a lot of estrogen around me. Yeah. In fact, I'm mostly estrogen myself. Oh. You've read how people are like 88% water? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm 88% estrogen.
88% estrogen. Yeah. You've heard it here, folks.
Yes.
Dennis
I don't
Casey.
think that'll surprise anybody who might ever listen to this.
Who knows you, yes. And if they don't, now they do know you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Dennis is directing the next play at the Butler Little Theater.
I am.
Yeah.
They couldn't find anybody qualified, so they asked me.
Stop it. You're very qualified, sir. In fact, I think, the first play I ever did, your wife played my mother.
Uh-huh.
Were you in that show, The 7-Year Itch?
No.
In 91? No. Gary Collar directed that.
Gary Collar directed. I think my buddy Bill Geibel was in that play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hilarious. It was fun.
I mean, as a 10-year-old, I didn't get it, but
Yeah,
sure.
well,
Yeah, I was just like excited that I had 2 lines and I got to walk out on stage. And in fact, I walked out into the doorway, and I think it was a platform, so I didn't even actually step onto the stage, which I joke about. But yeah.
Fantastic. This is kind of a nice little thing for you to memorialize various folks' moms reminiscing about their mothers and daughters. It's kind of fun.
We've had some really wonderful people come in already and share stories, some tears. There were tears early this morning already. 7:30 we had tears. So
Aww.
I think it's normal to feel that way, especially if you have a parent, a mother who's passed on, right? You've got really wonderful memories. So
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, thanks very much for the opportunity to brag about my mom for a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dennis. All right. Sweet.
My name is Nedra Casey. I've lived here in Butler most of my life. We had a brief 7-year hiatus where we moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina because of my husband's job. But now we're back here. And we're back here because of my daughters and my daughters' families. I have twin daughters, Megan and Meredith. Megan Arissa Casey. Arissa, her middle name was because my husband's involved in insurance, and Arissa is the Employee Retirement Insurance Security Act or something like that. And he wanted that to be her first name, and I said no. And then Meredith is Meredith Lynn, and her middle name is because Dennis's middle name is Allen. So I just made that up, and yeah. And then I spelled Meredith with a Y and Megan with an M-E-A, and that caused confusion their whole lives. So they were born in 1980, so they're 43 now. They were born 2 days before I turned 30. So add that up, people, and you can ascertain that I am now 73. I'm old. They were the greatest gift of my life, as I said in something that I just wrote for the Eagle. In the words of Tom Cruise, they complete me. See, now I'm going to... Okay. That kind of made me sad or happy or emotional. So anyway, we were married in 74, and I didn't want to share Dennis with anyone else for a while. So 6 years, and then I became pregnant. When I went with my mother for my sonogram, I found out I was having twins, and since I act, she said, you pad every part you get. So, of course, you'd pad motherhood. But so they grew up together, loving sisters most of the time, unless they were fighting over a pair of tights for dancing school. That caused a problem. They were identical. Very hard to tell apart as babies. In fact, Megan had her big toenail painted red so that Dennis could tell them apart. I could tell them apart because I was their mom, but she could not. My mother-in-law, Shirley Casey, was head nurse at Butler Hospital, but she had, before we had our children, she had moved to St. Louis, but she came back to aid in the delivery of my daughters, and that was very, very, very special. I think motherhood is, as I said, the greatest gift of your life. And I think the thing to remember when you're a mother is it's not your journey, it's their journey. So I never try to push them or say, oh, I can't believe you did that, or you shouldn't have done that, or, you know, I wouldn't have done that. I let them choose and let them choose their lives and make their mistakes. Because it's their journey, it's not my journey. I'm always there to give advice when asked, give support when asked, and hold them when they're sad or disappointed. And I think that's the only thing that you can do. I don't believe in helicoptering your kids, and I also don't believe in leaving them entirely alone. It was very hard for me when we moved away for 7 years, and I said to Dennis, and this is something he needed to do, I said, I'm glad to go to Winston-Salem, but you have to let me come home when I feel sad. So I was home during that 7 years every single month except one. He flew me home. Yeah, so that was because I just needed to be with them. And they're wonderful daughters who love me, and I love them. And I enjoy them and my 7 grandchildren. My daughter Megan has 4 children, and my daughter Meredith has 3 children. So that's about it.
You just supported them in their journeys, and I love that. And that's such a wonderful message, because that's not an easy thing to do.
It's not. It is definitely not. It's not easy when you see them making mistakes that you know from your experience is going to be a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But I never, ever, ever said anything. Said, that's a bad choice. You know.
In your brain, you're like...
I'm like, no, really? Do we want to do that? Oh,
rewind.
Okay.
Backpedal.
Yeah, but... You
Yep.
can't do that because it's their life.
Yeah.
I believe that each of us is on his or her own journey.
But that's love.
Yeah, it is.
And that's a superpower.
Yes.
Because I think we all sort of come from our own experiences, and a lot of times we can see something on the horizon, and you want to keep someone from pain that you can understand what that feels like. So, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're so wonderful.
Thank you, Laura, for
You're
letting
so
me
special.
share this.
Yes. Yay. Okay.
My name is Phyllis Bowser Bonzo, and I'm 87 years old, and I'm to talk about mothers today. I had the best in the world, in my opinion, and she was just wonderful. She loved the Lord. One of the biggest things I remember was every night before we went to bed, we had to say the 23rd Psalm and the Lord's Prayer. And that was our guide. And there was 8 of us. I'm the baby of 8. I'm the only one left. But I have had a wonderful life because I had a wonderful mother and dad. And they were good. And they taught us about the Lord, and that was her most important step. And I tried to do that with mine. I have 2 children, Denise Darlene and David Eugene. And Denise, of course, is married and has 3 children. David is married and has 3 children. And out of those 6 grandchildren, I got 16 great-grandchildren. So that's been a real joy. I've been really blessed. But as far as Mother's Day goes, I think being a mother was the greatest honor God ever gave me. It was in wonderful times, and I was able to raise them at home, and sure, we had problems. Everybody has problems. My advice for mothers would be put God first, and then be there for your children. Be there in the good times and the bad, because there'll be some of both. But you'll get through that and keep moving on. That's the best thing. And of course, I know it's Mother's Day, but I couldn't leave fathers out. I had the best husband in the world for me. And he was always there for me and for my children. And Laura, he was there for you too. Am I allowed to say what he called you? We moved up here about the time Laura lost her daddy. And Uncle Red, my husband, just took over. And we had the best time helping Laura. And one day he was sitting there, and he said, I gotta go. And I go, where are you going? And he said, I gotta pick up the bag lady. Laura had all these bags. She had, I don't know how many bags, but he just started calling her the bag lady, and he called her that
until I was a teenager into adulthood.
Yes.
There was the dance bag, the school bag, the track bag, the overnight bag.
Right. I mean, and you could have carried more bags.
I still have that name to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me today. I've got that. I've got that. I've got all this under here.
We still have the bag lady. We both loved
He was a
Laura.
great guy.
Yeah, he sure was. He was the best. And he loved Laura like one of his own. It was just too cute. And I had to share that. I'm sorry, Laura. But I can say, mothers, just be thankful God gave you children. And that's good.
Thank you to everyone who came out last Wednesday to record your memories, your stories, your hopes, your dreams, and also your advice. I want to also give a special thanks to Austin Urim for joining me at Vintage Coffee on Wednesday and helping getting the photos of everyone that you will see in the Butler Eagle, and also to Tracy Liturgy, who was on the planning side of this, the brainstorming behind this. So thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Austin. Thank you for tuning in to Alter Eagle. Join me every Monday for a new episode, and be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Instagram at Alter Eagle Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay hopeful, stay kind.